Now, Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe is an absolutely wild read, illustrated by Doug Brathwaite and written by Garth Ennis. Written by the same man who would later go on to write The Boys and Preacher. The one-shot comic published in 1995 asks the question, what if superheroes killed the Punisher's family? Which I think it's important before I even start talking about this to give a little background. This comic came out in 1995. And in the 90s, Marvel was struggling. They were under new ownership, Ron Perlman. Perlman wanted to push the toy market side of Marvel, creating such shows as Spider-Man and the X-Men, in hopes to create toy lines from these series. Now, while on the comic side of things, they were constantly thinking of new ways to reinvent old characters and introduce new and exciting team-ups, but they couldn't keep up with DC's post-crisis run. See, in the late 80s, DC hit its stride by going darker with their material. The death of Supergirl, The Dark Knight Returns, leading to the death of Superman, Nightfall, and later on, Long Halloween and Kingdom Come. They were also introducing and reinventing their characters with a higher success rate, such as Green Arrow, Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, Starman, and Nightwing, to name a few. While DC expanded on their characters' psyche and having them come face to face with death and how it changes their outlook on life as a whole, Marvel was scrambling trying to create new and darker storylines to compete with DC, creating the Fatal Attraction storyline which led right into Blood Ties, while also trying to create new and exciting characters that kids would eventually want toys of. Having the companies being stretched in both ways makes the product they create seem dim and chaotic. Enter The Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe. I feel like this comic was greenlit because at the time Marvel execs wanted to move away from the Silver Age, entering a new, more violent world, leading to this comic feel like a huge middle finger to comic fans of the 70s and 80s. The story begins in Hell's Kitchen. We see Matt Murdock getting picked on by bullies. They're calling him Daredevil, which is a bit odd. They're calling him what he'll later call himself as Daredevil, and then Kid Punisher comes and saves him and tells him he has to fight back, and that's the backstory we are given. Cut to now, we see the Avengers and X-Men fighting the Brood and the Skrull in Central Park. Frank Castle is heading there, stating that his family is there and he wants to make sure that they are okay. But when Punisher gets there, he finds out that his family has been killed in the crossfire. Cyclops then tries to apologize, and Punisher just says you're sorry and shoots him immediately in the head. Punisher then just starts shooting at the X-Men and the Avengers. He gets captured, then goes to jail. Daredevil shows up wanting to be his attorney. Doesn't matter though, Frank gets life imprisonment. On the way to Rikers, Punisher is picked up by a man named Kesselring. He introduces himself and says that the Human Torch was thrown at his car and now he's all disfigured. He then introduces him to a group of people. All of them have either been handicapped or disfigured or even lost a loved one from a superhero-related event, but were pushed out of the public eye and kind of forgotten about. These people basically recruit Punisher to kill the superheroes. Kesselring then says, we want you to punish them, which I guess is why he's called the Punisher, which is really funny. We then see Spider-Man and Venom fighting. Punisher electrocutes both of them, and then he shoots Venom, and then Spider-Man is confused and asks, who is he? And that's when we get the reveal that he is the Punisher. And Spider-Man just says, what? Why me? And Punisher then shoots Spider-Man. And we get the badass line, because someone had to be first. Isn't that cool? Isn't that just so cool? We then meet Microchip, which is kind of like his right-hand man, his gadget guy, the guy that gives all the info for him. And we find out in this universe that his legs were ripped off by Doc Ock, so he also wants to get revenge on them. He can't just be a guy. Oh, God. And then we see Hulk. He's smashing. Punisher shoots him with like a tracking device. He waits until he turns back in the banner, and then he just shoots him. Punisher then goes after the Kingpin, and you wouldn't believe it, he just shoots him a bunch of times. However, when he kills Kingpin, his body lands right on top of him. So when the police show up, he gets arrested again. And then he goes to court again. And he gets life imprisonment again. And then Kesselring breaks him out again. But now Punisher needs a big game plan. So he goes after Dr. Doom and hammers him to death. Going through Dr. Doom's evil shit, Punisher finds a nuke. Now we then see all of the X-Men, New Mutants, X-Force, just all of the X's, and all of their villains on the moon. Magneto says that Storm invited them there. Storm says that Magneto invited them there. But before they can figure anything out, Punisher shoots a nuke at the moon. And that's awesome. We then see Wolverine, and he's getting fucked up because he was in Japan while everyone with X in their name was on the moon. Punisher then fights Wolverine, and then he just throws Wolverine against an electrical fence, and that melts all of his skin away, which kills him, and it's upsetting. Punisher then goes and kills just everyone else off camera, and then we see him in jail. Daredevil says, like, please stop, and he's like, I'll never stop. And then it just cuts to New York 3 months later, and he's fighting Captain America. I don't know how we got from point A to B, but we're here now. Captain America pulls the "you were a soldier" card, and he says, I was a soldier, but in Vietnam, and then he just shoots Captain America. Kesselring then has Punisher over and throws him a huge party. Punisher says after tonight he'll never hear from them again. Kesselring stops Punisher and says he wants Punisher to be his own killing machine and just kill all the New Mutants that will be born. Punisher says no and then shoots Kesselring and then says to all the other people if they try and find him or contact him, he'll just kill them all. So that's that. We then go back to Hell's Kitchen. It's Punisher versus Daredevil. They fight. Punisher stabs Daredevil. Daredevil takes his mask off, revealing that he's Matt Murdock. Punisher feels bad because he knows Matt Murdock. Matt Murdock says, there's always someone under the mask, Frank. And then Punisher feels really bad, which we find out this whole story is over the course of 5 years. And to have your character just now figure out that, oh, I'm killing actual people, just makes him seem so fucking dumb. Punisher then shoots himself, and that's it. That's the end of the book. Now, reading this book, it really felt more like fan fiction than a proper one-off. The Punisher character is not expanded upon in any way, and the characters that are used seem very misunderstood. They don't really go into detail with maybe other people and characters that have suffered similar fates to Punisher. They're just introduced in like one panel and that's it. And there's no real planning behind most of the kills, which understandable. Punisher's mainly just a guy with guns that shoots things, but to have these big named heroes go down by just some fucking bullets seems just like the author just didn't know what to do, so we just had them fucking get shot. And it just feels like, again, it's trying to be shocking and kind of like a fuck you to the 70s and 80s, because all of them have their classic Silver Age costumes. Especially with the ending, I really feel like they were trying to be like serious with their whole maybe no one's good kind of angle. And yeah, it just really reads more as fan fiction than anything else.